Hello friends and welcome to my channel. I've been gone a while, so maybe I should reintroduce myself. My name is G. I like drinking coffee, I like taking naps, I like taking long walks in the forest. I'm turning 30 this year. Yikes. I am a school teacher and I have been in the education field since about 2011. I spend my days singing songs and dancing and teaching kids the alphabet and how to count to 100. And when I have time, I lurk here on YouTube and dabble in creating videos of my own. Some of you may have started getting to know me when I started my channel last year, either by watching my videos or sending me your stories or communicating with me through the comments or through email, and then suddenly, poof, I was gone. Yeah, I'm really sorry about that. I still cringe and laugh when I think about the time that I said, oh, I'm going to be uploading 2 times a week. Yeah, right. That was just really unrealistic. And some of you had even warned me, but I learned the hard way. This actually reminds me of my first year teaching. I was teaching 5th grade, and it was a special group of students. I love them so much, and I wanted to do something really special for them because in California, with the state testing, 5th graders have to take an extra test, which is the science test. So to pump them up, I promised them that every day they were testing, we would do something special or have some sort of treat or have some sort of surprise in store for them. Well, for the California state testing, there's no time limit. So those bad boys can go on and on and on. And I was getting really stressed out, running out of creativity, running out of money, and just feeling this overwhelming pressure on myself that I put there, trying to make this special for the kids and live up to my promise. Long story short, I learned the hard way to not make promises that you can't keep when it comes to students in the classroom. And now let me get back to the point of how this relates to the YouTube channel. Unrealistic expectations are not conducive to achieving goals. And this channel isn't called Unrealistic Expectations, it's called Gracious Expectations. So from now on, I'm going to be more gracious with myself and be more mindful about making goals that are realistic. Heck, I'll even employ the SMART goal method. Sorry, just some teacher humor in there. Because I really do enjoy being on this platform. I enjoy watching other creators and having conversations with viewers in the comment section, having interesting conversations and back and forth. So I want to continue doing that. I want to continue creating and finish up the old projects that are still in progress, not completed. I've just had a lot of things on the back burner for a long time, but to keep it real, life has been rough since the last time I was on here. Let me preface that by saying that myself and my family members, we are all fine. We're moving forward. Nothing majorly catastrophic has happened in that regard, which I'm very thankful for because I know that there are people who can't say that, and people have gone through severe hardships and loss of their family, and I'm just not ready for that. So very thankful that we're all physically okay, but with regards to the pandemic, it's just had a major toll on my mental health, on my profession as a teacher, and it's just been rough. The school year had started for me right around mid-August, around the time that I was seen last in these parts, and I had just changed grade levels, and I was starting now to teach in Spanish in a dual language immersion classroom, and I was really consumed with those changes. To top it all off, I overextended myself by being a part of too many committees, and for the cherry on top of all of that craziness, I also am a commuter, so I have to do a 45-minute commute each way when I go to work. So at the end of every day, I was just exhausted and like mentally brain dead. But the thing about teaching is that it's so rewarding that it really can fill your heart with the ultimate joy. Seeing kids' confidence grow as they learn new things or as they make new friends, and in my situation, as I see them using more and more Spanish, it's incredible. Not to mention when they accidentally call you mom. This year I got a student accidentally calling me dad, and I'm choosing to not be offended by it and just take it as a sign of love. It was a first, but it was a cute moment. It really is everything you would want in a career because of how fulfilling it is. I think a lot of people dream about making a difference in the world and making a positive impact, and this is why the allure of MLM can be so seductive, because often these MLM companies have some sort of mission statement to save the planet and be the best, most ethical company in the world. But with teaching, you really do have that sense that you're making a tangible impact every day. But the pandemic has changed education in disastrous ways. You have many teachers who face the uncertainty of not knowing if they're going to contract COVID in their classroom, and then if they do, not knowing whether or not workers' comp is going to cover the days needed for a substitute while they quarantine. And it's really looking like the answer is no, because it's so hard to prove where somebody would have gotten it anyway. You layer that with significant behavioral issues that we are seeing more and more in the classroom. For example, throwing chairs, throwing desks, destroying school property, harming other students. Not saying that these issues weren't there before, but at least in my opinion, I see that there's a greater prevalence of these incidents happening. And for teachers, it can be really difficult to compartmentalize the trauma that they experience during the day of teaching. I know it sounds dramatic to say trauma, but honestly, there's some crazy situations out there. It's really difficult to not let all of those things bleed into your home life. To top it off, you have the administrative side of things, where a significant amount of our non-teaching time is spent in meetings or professional developments. You know, don't get me wrong, I know that those are very much needed, and there are times when we need to be apprised of information that is happening. But when these meetings are not organized very well, or it's just a regurgitation of things that could be delivered to teachers in another way at their own time, it just kind of feels like our time isn't valued and we're not being compensated fairly for all of the things we have to fit into the time when we are not being paid. I guess one of the only positives is when we do have those staff meetings and PDs, we are getting paid for it, unlike an MLM. So I have been having these internal struggles lately, and I have really been advocating for myself and for my time and for my money. But this school year has definitely had its highs and its lows. The daily pressures can mount and mount until you're not sleeping well, you're not eating well, you can't focus, you're grumpy and irritable, and then it just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling like a big giant ball, like from Crash Bandicoot the game, and it's right behind you and it's just gonna get you. And you know, if you take one misstep, you're gone. Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like sometimes. I had one point this year when I thought I was done for. It was shortly after my husband and I's 2-year wedding anniversary. We actually never got to spend our first anniversary together because he was deployed during that time, so I really wanted to make it a point to spend that day with him. But the sub shortage, which was horrible and is still ongoing and still horrible, made it really difficult to feel like I could take time off of work. But I decided to put myself first, and I took the time off anyway. And then the following week, I actually had to take off another day to take an exam called the CPACE. It's a California exam to become an administrator one day, which I did not pass, by the way. And if you all are interested in hearing about that experience, I can make a different video. So long story short, I had just taken 2 days off in back-to-back weeks, so I was feeling pretty guilty about that, because finding subs is hard. Finding a Spanish-speaking sub is even harder. Well, 2 weeks later, there was a fire, because gotta love California. We just need to have fires all the time because we're freaking crazy here. So they shut down a major freeway, which is the one that I take to commute to work, as well as 90,000 other people in the area. There's another highway that serves as an alternative way of getting to where I needed to go, but the problem was, with the first freeway shut down, now everybody and their mother and their grandmother and their ancestors were taking that freeway, so traffic was horrible. For 4 days, instead of driving 45 minutes each way, my commute turned into 1 hour and a half each day. Just popping in to say that I meant to say 1.5 hours each way. So a total of 3 hours commuting time. And I just thought, okay, this sucked, but maybe tomorrow I'll leave earlier and it'll be fine. But no, every single day I kept leaving earlier, kept getting there at the same time, and it was just taking such a long time, and I felt so guilty, and I didn't want to take more time off from work just because of commuting. And it was honestly one of the lowest weeks. It was hard. We had meetings after school, and then having to sit through all of that, I reached my breaking point on the 4th day, and I just started bawling and bawling because I was asking myself, what the heck am I even doing? I'm miserable. I live so far from the place where I work because I can't afford to live where I work because it's too freaking expensive. So I just felt like I was having an existential crisis, and like, man, there's got to be something more. Luckily, my mom had gotten me into some worship music, so I started playing some songs, and I said, God, if you are out there and if you are listening, just please give me a sign that I can do this and I can keep moving forward and I can be strong. When I finally got home, I saw that the fire had been contained and the freeway was now open again, so I let out a huge sigh of relief and just felt like, okay, this means that I can do this, I can keep going, and I won't give up. And I'll try to give the best version of myself to my students, and I'll try to keep up with all of my responsibilities. And since then, I've really been just putting more boundaries between me and work, and just being more mindful about doing as much work as I can within the school day and within my contract time, because really time is so precious and I can't afford to be giving it away for free. On a positive note, over Thanksgiving break, my family and I took a trip to Big Bear. This is a tradition that is now 2 years in the making and has been really, really nice just to be able to escape the stress of our jobs and go to the mountains and go to nature and spend quality time together, playing games, watching TV, catching up. When we were younger, my sister and I loved taking trips together and exploring and having these nice experiences. So it's been nice to get back to that and include more of our family, like my mom and my dad's wife, for example, who a few years ago wouldn't have really thought to take vacations together and spend time together, but now I think one positive thing that has come from all of this pandemic nonsense is just the greater value that I feel people have placed on family and togetherness and quality time. So all of that has really been a blessing. Speaking of blessing, the closer I get to 30, the more I have been thinking about wanting to have a blessing of my own, a baby. I love kids and I would love to be a mom and not just an accidental classroom mom. But the more that I think about that dream and the dream of being a homeowner one day, the more I become disillusioned with the future. Housing prices are through the roof. That was punny, wasn't it? And it just seems like greed is king and everyone and everything out there is just trying to scam people. It's a pessimistic view of the world, I know, but we actually came close to being homeowners last year. We had actually put in 2 offers on the first house, which was a gorgeous house, and I could totally envision myself living there. That one, we were outbid by somebody who had all cash. And then for the second house, after we had put in our offer and we were starting the process of receiving all the files and, checking things out, it just became super clear that we had been taken advantage of, my husband and I, because we were first-time buyers. We weren't really looking closely at some of the things that were red flags. One of the major red flags, there's a freaking giant sinkhole in the back. At the beginning, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. Look at all this nature. But when my dad saw it, he was like, that's a sinkhole, that means that the foundation is going to be not sturdy and it's just going to cause you problems in the future. So luckily he saved us from making a really dumb choice, but we were just so manipulated and feeling pressured and just wanting to get the whole process over with because it was just so stressful. But it just sucked because no matter what, we had the feeling that we would be grossly overpaying on a house, especially compared to what the prices were, before 2012. But all that manipulation, it can get to you. Even if something is way too expensive, you'll start thinking to yourself, that's okay, I'll just be a workhorse. course, I'll work summers. My husband will work overtime and will live even more frugally, and we can do this. We can just pay a really high mortgage each month. And we just had to take a step back and say, you know what, this is not okay. We are willing to wait for something that feels right, because these expectations are just unrealistic. Unrealistic expectations. I'm sensing a pattern here. So after that, I shifted my mindset from trying to buy an overpriced and old granny house to just trying to make our current apartment feel more comfortable and more cozy. And during my winter break, I went on a decluttering bonanza in our quaint one-bedroom little apartment and threw away just bags upon bags upon bags of junk. It's incredible how many things you just accumulate over the years and realize that they don't even bring you joy or pleasure anymore. They just sit there adding stress and getting in the way of happy experiences. And UCLA actually did this really interesting study on clutter in households, and what they found was that clutter negatively impacts women more than it does men, which I thought was interesting because I do notice clutter tends to bug me more than it does my husband, but it increases women's cortisol levels, the stress levels, way more than it does men. So I'll link that video below for you guys if you want to check that out, because it was honestly really interesting. But decluttering in itself was also a really difficult and emotional process, because as I started to sort through all this junk, some of it was junk that was easy to say, yeah, I don't need this anymore. Others were paperwork from old jobs or from college or college essays or old journals, and things that really tapped into feelings and memories that I hadn't thought of for a while. And I realized that I used to be pretty freaking cool with my words and really expressive and creative, and it just feels like somewhere along the line I just lost that and just became a cog in the machine, like another workhorse, you know? So as good as it felt to throw things away, it was also kind of an awakening and trying to get back to some of the hobbies that I used to enjoy and get back to the person I used to be, and before I took such a pessimistic view of the world. I have to give credit to my sister for helping me get into that decluttering mindset, and I'm really excited because next month she is coming up here to visit, so I'm excited for her to see the apartment, and I hope she likes the progress. Anyway, if you're still here, thank you for listening to all that. It's oddly comforting to know that there might be somebody out there who's listening to this and maybe can resonate with some of the things I'm saying or feel the same way. While those bigger dreams may still be out of reach for right now, like a house or a baby or not having to commute to work, one dream that I do want to focus on is just growing out my channel a little more and developing that further. I don't want to be a big YouTube personality or have internet fame. I don't want to get embroiled in YouTube drama and be making videos about other people and have them make videos about me, which, you know, it could happen because I've made videos about other people's, marketing strategies. So it could happen, but I do want to just be able to pop on here every now and then and share my thoughts on life and shady business practices, whether it be MLM related, education related, housing market related, or maybe just come here and read something I've written, just for nostalgia's sake, or share pictures or videos of hiking trips or, vlogs, or I don't know, literally anything. It's all open for me right now. So if you want to stay and go on this journey with me, then awesome. That's great. I'd love to have you. Say hi in the comments. But if not, no worries either, because life's too short to waste your time on things that don't bring you happiness or fulfillment. Why did that sound like an MLM tagline? Life's too short to waste your time and money on things that don't bring you happiness and fulfillment. So join our MLM where you can waste your time and money on us instead. Yeah, I'm not going to recruit you into an MLM, so and I won't make you stay on my channel either. So thanks again for hanging around, and I hope to see you all again sooner rather than later. Thanks, and have a good day.